how to make the most of a week in the Faroe Islands. To get to the Faroe Islands from the US, we flew from Washington, D.C. to Copenhagen. You could also connect through Paris or Reykjavik or Edinburgh. You'll split up your trip, spending your first 2 nights on the island of Vágar, then moving to Klaksvík as your entry point to the Northern Islands, and finishing your trip in the capital of Tórshavn. If you really want to see the Faroe Islands, you're going to need to rent a car, but you don't need an SUV. The best cure for jet lag is a hike, so we hit the ground running by hiking out to Trollfinger, about a 20-minute drive from the airport in Vágar. After Trollfinger, we drove over to the famous Faroese Hanging Lake and Slave Cliffs. This was actually our first hike on the Faroe Islands with a fee. The cliffs were stunning, but you probably actually got a better view of the lake from the airplane on your flight in. Our accommodations for our nights in Vágar was the cutest cabin you have ever seen. These brothers and their partners have built 4 adorable little cabins behind Gassadalur, the town with the iconic waterfall into the ocean that was only accessible by foot or helicopter until 2004 when they built a 1-lane tunnel. On day 2, we took the ferry to Mykines. This is the Puffin Island that is located to the west of Vágar Island. I have a whole video on how to visit Mykines that you should definitely check out. But the important thing to know is that this is something that you should book early in your trip. Sometimes the weather will be bad, the ferry will get canceled, and you'll want to be sure to make it there before you leave the Faroe Islands. On day 3, it was time to leave Vágar and head north. Our first stop was Saxon. Saxon has a museum, an old church, and a whole lot of sheep. In Saxon, we hiked down to the Black Beach. Because the tide was out, we could walk really far out in the inlet and get beautiful views of the mountain. Next up, we drove to the north side of Strimoy to visit the Fossa waterfall. If you're not really a hiker, don't worry, this is right by the road. Next, we were off to summit Slættaratindur, the tallest peak in the Faroe Islands. When we started the hike, we could see clouds were starting to creep in, and as we made it closer and closer to the summit, we realized that all of our work was for nothing. No views for us. While Klaksvík is the second largest city, there weren't a ton of food options. We ended up eating at Cafe Frida both nights we were there. I do recommend booking ahead, which you can do in English on their website because they are so busy. On day 4, we headed further north to the island of Kunoy. It's home to an adorable little park that is one of the only places in the Faroe Islands where you'll see trees. And finally, we made it to the northernmost island of Viðoy, where our hike rewarded us with the views we were hoping for yesterday. On day 5, it was time to head south to Tórshavn. On our way, we got to go through the underwater roundabout. The infrastructure in the Faroe Islands is phenomenal and includes cool things like this. There are tolls for using the tunnels, but it was very easy. We just paid ours through our rental car company. In Tórshavn, the stars aligned and we were finally in the same place as the food truck I'd been tracking all trip. They specialize in the fermented Faroese lamb, which was really a treat. After we secured our sandwiches, we headed over to the Magnus Cathedral ruins on the south side of the island. Back in Tórshavn, you can walk among the Faroese government buildings, which sit on a piece of land that's had importance since the Viking era. On day 6, we took this Zodiac boat tour to see some bird cliffs and sea caves. It was a great time. And on day 7, we had just enough time to check out the Faroese History Museum before we had to head to the airport. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe, and check out my other videos, including more guides on the Faroe Islands.